Hello and welcome to this week's Hangout on Air from Suntico. Today's Hangout is called Connect to Win, and it is specifically for QuickBooks Online developers. And it is timed to coincide with the close of the QuickBooks Connect conference, which draws together about 5,000 attendees every year from the entire QuickBooks ecosystem of partners, developers, customers, and accountants, and of course Intuit themselves. And the theme of that conference is that the sum is greater than the sum of the whole is greater, or the whole is greater than the sum of the individual parts. And that's exactly the point that I'm also trying to make with this Hangout on Air. Specifically, the point I will be making during this Hangout on Air is that I think if you are a QuickBooks Online developer, and if that's all you're doing, you're missing out on a massive opportunity to target the Sage 50 users there are in the United States of America. And what I will do in this Hangout on Air is I will give you 3 reasons to target Sage 50 users. I will go on to address how Suntico can help you address those Sage 50 users, and then specifically how you can get started with us. My name is Hugh Johnson. I'm Head of Business Development at Suntico. And if you like this Hangout on Air, please share it with your friends and followers via your social networks, or contact me if you have any questions, again, via the normal social channels, or by email at hugh.johnson@suntico.com. So to get on with the Hangout, the first reason why you as a QuickBooks Online developer should want to consider connecting your app to Sage 50 US edition. And the reason is very simple. Sage 50 customers are larger than QuickBooks Online customers, typically. In fact, typically they are much larger. They have more staff. They're generating more transactions. They have bigger business problems. And of course, as a result, they have significantly bigger budgets to spend on solving those problems for their business. How much bigger? Well, I reckon it's an order of magnitude bigger for your typical client. So you've got a multiplier effect there of 10 times already. Now, the second reason why you should consider connecting your QuickBooks Online app to Sage 50 US edition is because despite the fact that these customers are bigger, you'll have fewer competitors. The QuickBooks ecosystem, as you know, if you're one of these attendees at the QuickBooks Connect conference, the QuickBooks ecosystem is thriving. So if you are a QuickBooks Online developer, you're competing for your customers' spend, your customers' attention, with perhaps 300 other cloud and mobile add-on solutions also targeting those customers. Now compare that with Sage 50 US edition. In total, I looked at the catalog this afternoon. There are approximately 80, in fact there are 81, Sage 50 US edition add-ons listed on the Sage website. But if you're a QuickBooks Online developer, your app is going to be a mobile or cloud app, almost for certain. And the chances are you would not see traditional on-premises apps and add-ons as your competition. So out of those 80 add-ons, if you just look at the cloud and mobile apps that connect to Sage 50 US edition, there are only about 12. So what that means is that in the QuickBooks Online space, you've typically got 25 more competitors than you have in the Sage 50 space. That's the equivalent of needing a market size 25 times the size just to achieve the same results. Now, reason number 3 why you may want to connect your cloud or mobile app that you have already connected to QuickBooks Online, if you want to connect that to Sage 50, well, It's the combined effect of reason number one and reason number two. Because you might say, yes, but of course, there are many, many more QuickBooks Online customers. Yes, there are. But actually, if your target market is the States, there are probably, I reckon, about 2.5 QuickBooks Online customers for every one Sage 50 customer. It might be about that ratio. So let's take a look at the maths then. So reason number three is, in total, actually, you've got a much bigger overall business opportunity, I believe, in Sage 50. Firstly, if you take into account the 10-fold increase in your target business size, if you take into account that your competition is divided by 25, and if you take into account actually that, in QuickBooks, in the QuickBooks market, QuickBooks Online market, you do have more customers to address by a factor of about 2.5. But what does this work out at in terms of the overall maths? Well, it's actually very simple. You take 1 multiplied by 10 for the business size, multiplied by 25 again for the less competition that you would face, divide by 2.5 for the extra size of the QuickBooks Online market, and you end up with 100. So rough maths, your market opportunity to connect to Sage 50 US edition is about, give or take, 100 times the size of the market opportunity that you can face just with QuickBooks Online alone. So that sounds great, doesn't it? But of course, I can hear the fear already in terms of how do I connect to all these various on-premises accounting platforms. Let's just remind ourselves that despite the fact that one can say the world is going online, if you actually look at the volume of transactional accounting data that's out there, still by far, not just slightly, but by far, the lion's share of accounting data, transactional accounting data, is still on premises. Except perhaps for the very, very small businesses. But those aren't the businesses you want to target. You want to target, if you've got an app that leverages transactional accounting data, your app delivers far more value to a customer that has higher transaction volumes, the kind of customer that makes up the Sage 50 customer base. So what are the challenges? If you decide, yes, this makes sense, what are the challenges in terms of connecting your QuickBooks Online app to Sage 50? There are many, of course. And these would put the fear of God into a typical cloud or mobile app developer. You've got local installs. You've got local configurations. Different companies running different operating systems. You know, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows NT even, perhaps. You've got different client and server configurations within different clients. You've got different setups regarding security and access rights, domains, and so on. Every single client site is different. There's so many different configurations. And to be honest, for a developer like yourselves, that's a nightmare. And then, of course, you know, what version of software it's not just Sage 50. What version are they running? Are they running 2014, 2015, 2015.1, 2015.2, 2016, 2016.1? Who knows? They're all different. And how does this affect the ability for your app to integrate with those clients without it giving you a support nightmare? So, given that backdrop of challenges, I can of course understand why, as an online developer, you just want to focus online. But the opportunity is so big. If you can address your mobile or cloud app towards the on-premises systems that still make up the vast majority of customers out there, certainly of customers that are of a size that would make it worthwhile connecting to. But of course, the good news is we are here to help. And Suntico is a cloud platform designed specifically to connect people, apps, and data, specifically around accounting and financial data. That's what we do. And we've invested considerable research and development in building out this infrastructure And effectively what happens is, yes, there is a local install called the connector client that the client installs locally and manages the synchronization between the small business accounting software such as Sage 50 or Intuit QuickBooks and up to a cloud database up in the cloud, from which we publish a web API that you as a developer can interface with using exactly the same kind of techniques that you use today to interface with QuickBooks Online. So it'll be completely familiar to you in terms of the overall concepts and the overall techniques. So if you've connected your app already to QuickBooks Online, connecting it through our web API to Sage 50 is actually quite straightforward. And I'm pleased to say, I think we offer you a nice business model, because for you, the developer, is free. The customer pays for the connection. The customer will pay Suntico, take out a subscription to Suntico, and the customer will pay for that connection. And we, Suntico, will take full responsibility for making sure that that connection is up and running and that the data is published and available up in the cloud database, so that you, the developer, only has to worry about integrating to Suntico, to our cloud database, through our web service API that's out there. And we're not even asking to take money from you for your app. The customer pays you for your app directly. So, sounds too good to be true? Well, maybe, because, I mean, the good news is this is what we're doing. The bad news is, for you as a developer, we're nearly there. We're not quite there. We're just going into beta at the moment. We're working with our first developers, but we would welcome applications from any of you QuickBooks Online developers. If you want to expand your addressable market, just visit our website. Go to www.suntico.com/sage-50-API. Just register in the form there, and we will be in touch. As soon as we are ready to start engaging with a wider circle of developers, we'll let you know. And as I say, joining is free. And if you'd like to get a sense of the kind of application and the kind of data that is available through our cloud platform, then go to our website and click on the Try Our Demo button at the top of the screen and fill out the form, and we'll send you log-on details to try out our own app that uses exactly the same API that you guys would use to connect to Sage 50 on-premises accounting data. I would like to thank you for your attention, and please do join us as Sage 50 developers as well as QuickBooks Online developers.